That's right, okay. Can you hear down the back? Yes, good. That's a good start. Thank you for being here. All the people from Lakey's Creek and a bit beyond. Nice to have a group here to witness what's actually happening. This is some of our new technology that we're dealing with at the moment. We can't do all this on the spur of the moment, download and happening, so we're just taping at the moment. So you'll be able to look at all this or get the sound of this on the internet tomorrow on Council's website, for those of you who are really interested to have a look and see what happens. We have some speakers here this evening, and first of all I'd just like to congratulate you on the state of the hall. I think last time we were here it was ordinary, and now it's much better than ordinary. It's quite nice, and it is looking really good. So it's to all of those who contributed, and I think Trevor was the one who was cracking the whip, weren't you, with everybody? No? Right, you were the director, weren't you? Yeah. No, it's looking really good. It's nice to be here. We have some speakers. Richard Harbison, if you could come up to the speaker just near Councillor Schill, that would be great. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to address the council. Since I registered to speak last week, I've since read the agenda for tonight, or something. Yeah, is the agenda for tonight or the meeting from previous notes from the previous meeting, I guess. In regard to the Gingellic Road, and because that's what I really wanted to speak about tonight, it was the state of the Gingellic Road, and I'm now pleased to see that something is in the pipeline in regard to maybe obtaining funding and to rectify the whole road. It's, as you would well know, driving out tonight, nothing short of atrocious. But before the working of it, or the getting it fixed up is completed, there's 5 bridges, as made mention in the notes there, that in the Wollongong Valley that have got to be widened. I really believe, and I nearly witnessed another accident there on Sunday afternoon coming home from the triathlon. Those bridges really need more signage each side about narrow bridges approaching or whatever, because 2 trucks can't meet.
No.
And this was a Winnebago towing a car that took 3/4 of the other lane and a car coming the other way. It's only a matter of time before something in that Wollongong Valley happens. And it's the travellers mainly that don't know the road. We know the road, but I really think before, in the interim, if more signage can be put as the approaches to the bridges. Late last year sometime, there was a resealing program went on in the valley. To me, it was just a total waste of time. It's been a disaster. The seal is lifted. Some of it never got rock put on the seal right for the word go. I did speak to Councillor Parker about it in early to mid-February. She sent an email to Greg Blackie, which, as of this morning, she hadn't had a reply in regard to it. I mean, it got worse, slowly got worse, and if you took notice of it tonight, you see that, during the summer period, and maybe it's got something to do with heat, but it's just lifted everywhere. Now it's just, and for that 6 or 8 Ks or whatever was done, it's not very good value for money. Further along, especially from the top of the gap to the Gingellic, to the Boundshire boundary, the edges, the drop-off point from the edge of the road onto the shoulder, I suppose you call it, there's a huge, in some places, massive drop-off area, and the road is narrow anyway. Same thing with 2 trucks meeting. It's become a major route since it's been made double routed all the way through, and they fixed up the Urera Gap, which is a fantastic thing. But the traffic this road now carries is just unbelievable. One other point that I got wind of, and I'm not sure whether it's true or false, but I would like to ask council whether they can confirm or deny that there's wind of a name change for the Gingellic Road again. It was raised, someone raised it with me that since the fire had caused a few problems with the confusion with the naming. I personally didn't hear it. I was on the fire ground 19 out of the first 21 days. At no time, and the shifts varied from probably 12 to 14 hours to through to 29 hours. At no stage did I hear any conflicting problems with the road name. Maybe Councillor Hicks, he was there as a Div West and Div East, could verify whether there was any confusion at all. Moving on to Campbell's Road, which is the intersection that I live up, further back towards just down the bottom of the hill from the Urera Gap. I believe that intersection with the Gingellic Road is very dangerous, especially for trucks approaching from the Holbrook side. They've got to swing right over nearly into the bus lane, or the bus stop lane on the southern side to get a straight approach so they don't go over the edge of approaching Campbell's Road. They must have also known I was going to speak tonight because, lo and behold, the road's been graded in the last couple of days. But the problem is that there's no gravel to grade. And I've asked a couple of times, any chance of gravel? Oh, no, not this time, next time. Could please someone inform me when a resheeting program might be in line for Campbell's Road? I realise it doesn't serve a lot of people, but I think we're entitled to a decent all-weather road for both trucks and cars. One other thing I'd like to point out, and I know it was discussed in regard to solar farms and bushfires, and I know that it's been on the council's agenda as far as applications to establish solar farms in the Shire, and I'm well aware that Councillor Hicks has got an interest in that, and I'm certainly not having a crack at you, Matty, here. But I see that I'm reading in the book again here that part of the conditions are that they'll have a three-man, or the council's proposing that they have a three-man or three-person fire unit present during the summertime, and that's fine. But in the event of a fire, we've got to treat it that whole section is live. So we probably, as rural firefighters, can't probably enter that fireground area for the risk of electrocution, I guess. I wonder, which then leads to the issue of it coming out on a far bigger front in the event of a fire. And also, I believe that if that's the issue, that the trucks would probably have to be fitted with breathing apparatus because of the toxicity that would come off the panels in the event of a fire. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but these are things that possibly could happen. And finally on that is how neighbours or near neighbours are probably going to get public liability insurance in the event that they start a fire and it burns into these solar farms. You know, at present we're advised that probably $20 million cover is enough for a rural farm. If I start a fire next to a $500 million solar farm, 20 million is not going to go far. Is there going to be an insurance company that will cover us? It won't personally affect me, but for the neighbouring landholders out in that region. And what would be the cost? That's one really serious question I reckon is a worry for certainly the neighbouring landholders to that area. That's about all I've got to say, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Councillors, any questions? No? Do we wish to respond to any of the issues raised? Or will we deal with them in...
I'm happy to respond to the issue of the... I'm happy to respond to the issue of the renaming or potential renaming of Gingellic Road, and as everyone would be aware, there was a report went up several years ago which was vigorously, I suppose, opposed by the locals, but I do think that we should be able to have a mature discussion around it. The RFS put out at least one media release which referred to the Tumbarumba Gingellic Road and one and Holbrook Gingellic Road. Now, neither of those roads exist. So if you were trying to find those, you wouldn't find them. So look, I understand that there is a lot of opposition from locals. There was in the past, but I still think the reason why we do rural addressing is for the benefit of emergency services vehicles, and I think that this is the second fairly major fire that we've had along Gingellic Road in the last 6 years, which has required both our Gingellic Road and Tumbarumba's, or Snowy Valley's Gingellic Road now to be closed. I think we should be able to have a discussion about it. Where it goes to from there, I'm not too sure. But as I said, I think we should be able to have a discussion about it.
Yeah, just quickly. Yeah.
Yep, Steve. No, I appreciate what you're saying there. If you go and set your nav man to go from Holbrook to Gingellic, it comes up as Holbrook Gingellic Road. Whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure, but that's what it says in your nav man. Also...
Well, it's not right. That's the problem.
Well, I'm just saying what happens if you punch in Holbrook to Gingellic and you're driving along, it'll show up Holbrook Gingellic Road. What it does from Tumbarumba to Gingellic, I'm not sure. But years ago, we lived there for 25 years, that road used to always be called McGinnity's Gap Road. It's not a direct route from Tumbarumba to Gingellic. You've got to turn off the Wagga Road, no different than driving from Holbrook from Holbrook to Gingellic, where you come to a T intersection. If you drive from Gingellic to Tumbarumba, you come to a T intersection, and you've got to turn right, turn right to go into Tumbarumba. So,
anyway, look, we could talk about that
sure.
The whole evening tonight, which is probably not the right forum for it, but I'd suggest if council was of mind to do that, then we'd probably trot back up here at some stage and have a meeting about it.
But as you're well aware that in 2014, when it happened previously, there was a fairly strong local...
There was a very strong
yes.
local kickback, that's
yes.
right. But now that's happened, now that there's been another major fire again within 6 years, perhaps people's thoughts might be different.
Well, possibly, but expect a fight.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, look, just on that, there are a lot of complications about naming roads. You wouldn't believe it, of course, but there are, and it's about trying to get something that's relevant and that works in coordination with our neighbouring councils. And we've had 3, 4, probably more meetings than that with what was Tumbarumba and now Snowy Valley's council to try and come to an agreement. And really it's about, we've agreed to disagree about this point in time. So look, I think we do need to, as Steve said, have a mature debate and a mature discussion and try and get something that's relevant and that everybody recognises for the sake of safety and the residents who live here, without a doubt. Thank you. All these other things I've furiously been taking notes, and so the two to my left, so we'll deal with them, and they're all things that we do know about, but we will deal with them and let you know. Now, who have we got next? John Hawkins and Jed. Who's going up first? Come up to the mic up here. Thank you. Welcome.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to have a chat with us. Probably Lanky's Creek Road sounds a good name for the road out here. Anyone that comes from Tumbarumba, they say they turn onto the Lanky's Creek Road to go through here, so that's the way to go, I reckon. But it's good to see that something is going to happen with this road, so it's good to see. What Jed and I have come here tonight to thank the council for all their effort during the fires. It was tremendous. With Lee in at the stadium in there, coordinating everything, and even Matty. We had Matty out as a DivCom, and but supplying the fuel, everything, it worked perfectly as far as the council's concerned, what we could see. So yeah, but thank you.
Thank you very much. We've got some fantastic volunteers around our table, and in our shire, and I think they were fantastic. Fantastic. Yes, so thank you.
Thank you.
Jed?
Yeah, I'm going to probably cover the same stuff, but Jason, he's the local captain here, and he also works on the council, and he was vital to a lot of the organisation. And Mark Haynes, I've known Blinkers for forever, but whatever I asked for, Blinkers made happen, which was really vital to the whole firefight, I suppose you'd call it. The council's contribution was probably as good as or better than the RFS itself, with the fuel, with the grader drivers, a load of rock in the Boggy Creek, stuff like that. It was all here the minute it was asked for. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. They're very generous words for some very generous people who contributed. Thank you. All right, we don't have any further speakers, so that is all right. Now going to open the ordinary meeting of the Greater Hume Shire here at Lakey's Creek. Now I just have to read out a few lines to you so that you understand where we're all coming from. In accordance with Council's Code of Meeting Practice, this Council meeting is being audio recorded and will be placed on Council's webpage for public information on Thursday morning. We hope, all things being equal, with the technology. So all present today are reminded that by speaking you are agreeing to your view and comments being recorded and published. You are also reminded that if or when speaking you are to be respectful of others and use appropriate language. Greater Hume Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this meeting. The order of business now, I invite Councillor Knight to lead us in prayer. Thank you.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings. We ask for your strength and guidance throughout this meeting and thereafter as we look to serve the residents of this shire. We ask for clear thinking and sincere hearts as we approach the business matters we will be discussing shortly. We ask for your blessings upon this meeting, each participant and the work and the people they represent. Amen.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Wiradjuri people, and I pay my respect to their elders past and present. Item number 3, any declarations of pecuniary interest or non-pecuniary interest? Nil. Thank you. An apology has been tendered from Councillor Quinn. So I need a mover and seconder. Thank you. Councillor Knight and Councillor Hicks have moved and seconded. Those in favour? Carried. And leave of absence is granted? Yes. Thank you. Item number 5, the confirmation of minutes excuse me, of the previous meeting.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer and Councillor Hicks moved and seconded. Any issues in those minutes? They're all present and correct, are they? Must be. Any opposition? No. Declare that carried. Thank you. Item number 6, the action report from the minutes. Yes.
Page 140, the Walbundry Comfort Stop, and page 22 of 40, which both relate to the Walbundry Hall Committee relinquishing the status. I'm just wondering whether, when it is time, when we're able to have a meeting, a community meeting, whether we have a meeting out in Walbundry to address both those issues, because they don't have a community forum group anymore, that it would be good to have a meeting that both lots of things could be discussed.
Do you actually mean a formal council meeting?
No,
just
a community
meeting of a community.
And
Okay, thank you. Any other? Councillor Schill?
Just in response to that, I think the General Manager had intended to come out, but then with the break from December to now was a bit crazy. So I know it's been on there for a while, but it needs to be finalised.
We'll tackle it. We might not finalise it, but see how we go. Yeah. Any others? Councillors? Councillor Knight?
It's not reported in the action because it wasn't something, it was something discussed at times, and I thought discussed during the council meeting, and that was the meeting with parliamentarians. It was taking place only a matter of days later. Is there an opportunity now to address that? Or is that something that I should raise in a separate forum? We received a report of it, but the report's not part of any council papers.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well look, I'm happy to take a question on it, Madam Mayor, if you want me to.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was in relation to one of the recording of the report where it was indicated that Councillor Meyer, representing council, asked the Minister for Agriculture to put in place something to not allow solar farms on prime agricultural land. And I wondered, have we ever had a resolution of this council that that be the case?
Well, certainly it's formed part of our submissions on solar farms. In the 3 submissions that we've submitted, that's been one of the issues that we've raised, is that we didn't believe that they should be on prime agricultural land. So, whilst it's not a formal recommendation of council, it's certainly formed part of our council submission on each of the 3 that have gone in today. So I would have thought in that context, then it was probably reasonable to raise it.
I agree, but I didn't see the submissions as a resolution of council. It was a comment made during those submissions, and I wonder if some stage in the future we might actually formalise whether that is the resolution, because even though we put forward submissions on those, we in the end said, state government, you make the decision. We put in submissions, but we didn't give them an opinion one way or the other. We made comment on various things. But I just believe that if we're going to do that, not as part of a submission, but actually have it, we need to have a policy one way or the other, and I'd like to see that happen at some stage in the future.
Well, the issue is though, council resolved to formally object to the 3 solar farm developments in accordance with the submission, and part of the submission was that we didn't believe they should be on prime agricultural land. So I think we have done it, but if you would prefer that it be done in another way, then I suggest that you put a notice of motion up on that matter.
Thank you, I will. I just believe it's something that's important to this shire, and we as councillors should make a representation based on the policy. Thank you.
Any other queries?
Madam Mayor, there's just a question, page 29 of 40, in regards to...
PA.
Pardon?
29 and 40.
It is on.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, it's okay.
I have a red light down here, but not up here.
Ah, righto.
Sorry. With the funding from the Drought Communities program, do we have any inkling of when that funding may be available?
Not at this stage. I would expect that following the council meeting tonight, whatever the resolution is there, when that information is provided to them, I would imagine that it would be determined within weeks, not months.
Any further questions or queries, councillors? No? Thank you. We're moving on to the mayoral minute, which you should have on your desk.
I'd second the motion.
Thank you. Any discussion needed? No? Prepared to vote? Those in favour?
No.
Carried. Thank you. Officers' reports. Item number 1, Environment and Planning. Adoption of the draft grading and strategic planning statement. Councillor Meyer, seconder. Councillor Knight. Sorry, Bill. Do you wish to speak to it?
Madam Mayor, through a series of workshops, the document was put together with all councillors present contributing. I see no reason it should be amended or changed. I think it's a fairly good replication of discussions that took part in those sessions.
Thank you. Any opposition?
I just had a question, but my lights.
What we might do is I'll swap
Who's that?
It's just, Madam Mayor, please, if that's the copy of the actual document, there's a, on page 33
Of the document?
of the document, the second bottom sentence on the council comment, it should have a D to be considered for spot rezoning. There's a D missing, that's a little typo, but if that's the official document, it needs to be. And HEV, the acronym, is that explained anywhere? Because I wasn't sure what that meant.
Mr. Kane?
High environmental value.
Pardon?
High environmental value. That's come from an agency that's provided that.
Okay.
That's, so, I'm having a stab in the dark at their acronym, but I would say that's what it means. Validate high environmental vegetation. So, something along those lines, map areas in the LGA. I'll put an acronym in for it.
Because there are a few acronyms through it, and most of us are familiar with most of it, but should it have an explanation?
I think that's probably reasonable. These comments came back from the agencies in response to the notification.
Yes.
And as I said in the report, we couldn't, they're probably a bit of a bridge too far, but the acronyms need to be clarified. I can do that at council, so happy for that to occur in the final document.
Mover and seconder happy? Yeah, thank you.
It's on the previous page. It's on the previous
It is
page. So it just needs a HEV after that.
Oh, okay. I can put that in brackets there.
Yep.
There we go.
All right.
Thank you.
Any further queries or questions? Any opposition? No, I declare that carried. Thank you. Governance, item number 1, organisational structure. Thank you, Councillor Knight. And Councillor Parker. Thank you. It's a quick here tonight. Any discussion? Do you wish to speak?
I think it's an excellent idea. As the General Manager has indicated, there are so many opportunities that might be forthcoming in the next month, year, whatever, and we need someone whose prime role is to deal with those and follow them through. Thank you.
Any speakers against? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Where are we? Drought Communities Program, preliminary assessment.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Councillor Schill. Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Schill. Moved and seconded. Do you wish to speak?
No, I think it's all set.
Explanatory. Councillor Schill, do you wish to
It's
speak?
just a query with the sorry, I've lost my word, reinvigoration plan. Could that be dealt with under the tourism side of council and the new marketing group, promotions group, somehow support them in that way?
I'm not sure. Look, I think they were really looking at bringing, someone in externally, which they did bring in, and whether Mr. Blackie might want to talk about it, or Councillor Weston, to have a very preliminary look at the town and made some, high-level suggestions, I suppose. So the intent was that if we could get some funding, they would come back and write a more rigorous plan, I suppose, in relation to that, as to, which would then have perhaps informed other grant applications. I've just got to try and, I guess, do a little bit more homework on the particular consultants that they were going to use to quantify the actual sort of sum of money that might be required, and then see how we might be able to best fund that. I've got a couple of ideas, but I don't want to commit to it too much until I know that it can sort of work out. Look, I think it probably requires an external consultant, but it's perhaps something that the marketing and promotions group can have some involvement with, but I don't know whether they can actually necessarily drive it. I think it needs to probably be driven by the Colcan Community Development Committee.
No, that's fine, thank you.
Any further discussion? Any opposition? No? I declare that carried. Thank you. Item number 3, the proposed renaming of the coach terminal area to Allen Firefield AM
So moved,
Park.
Madam Mayor.
Councillor Knight and Councillor Meyer. Do you wish to speak?
I think it's wonderful that the community's come forward. What they have written is absolutely spot on. He was an exceptional man and an exceptional representative in local government, and I think it's absolutely spot on to go with this.
Declare that.
I concur with everything Councillor Osborne has noted.
Yeah, thank you. There won't be any opposition. I think I'll declare that one carried. Thank you. Proposed renaming of the... we've done that. Keep on moving along. Item number 4, the Bushfire Community Resilience and Economic Recovery Fund.
Yeah, there is an addendum report.
There is an addendum report.
Madam Mayor, because we don't have a screen with the report or anything up there, whatever the decision is, can we explain before we actually do this what this is about and what's being suggested?
Yes.
Mr. Smith, are you going to speak about it?
I can speak about it.
Mr. Pinnock will.
Mr. Smith is going into a meltdown about something else.
That's
Too
all
busy
right.
worrying about the video, I forgot to put the screen up.
That's all right.
Don't worry.
That's all right. Okay, so I don't know whether the people in the gallery have had the opportunity to read the agenda, but the addendum report is probably just a little bit similar to what's in the agenda. So basically what happened was that we've been provided with $100,000 to undertake bushfire community resilience and economic recovery. The way that we've approached it, I suppose, at this point in time, is that the report's proposing, I'm proposing as the writer of the report for council consideration that $18,000 be provided for 3 events that are proposed for Gingellic at the Gingellic Sports Ground. But obviously, as most people would know in here, a lot of our residents in this neck of the woods, you see Gingellic in part as part of their community. Not so much Lankeys Creek, but further when you get closer to Gingellic. So they were aiming to do a thank you to out of area fireys on the 2nd of May. Whether that goes ahead under the current climate is yet to be seen. And then they were hoping to embellish 2 other events that they had, the August Upper Murray Beef Producers Dinner and the jamming at Gingellic in October. Hopefully they may go ahead. We allocated $10,000 for a thank you event at Holbrook for firefighters and other volunteers, as was spoken about earlier. There was a lot of, non-firefighting volunteers as well as those that were actually on the fire front. $5,000 for a portable cool room at the Gingellic Hub. $12,000 for improvements to the Lankeys Creek Hall, which was in quick discussions with the Secretary. The notion of updating the kitchen was raised, and possibly air conditioning in the kitchen. It was apparently pretty hot when they were doing whatever they were doing there when the fires were happening, and that was thought to be a reasonable program. We had $30,000 for a tree and tree planting program, so we thought the way that we would handle that perhaps is by using a voucher system at some local nurseries, be it Jayfields or the Vintage Tree Nursery. I've got that right, Councillor Parker, this time?
Yes.
The Vintage Tree Nursery, because certainly from some of the meetings that have been held at Gingelly, particularly replanting around homes, there may well be a propensity not to replant natives and plant other trees. Partnering with Holbrook Landcare to provide some on-farm advice around tree planting and erosion control. They do it for members, I believe, but if you're not a member, then they won't necessarily provide that advice, so we hope that we might be able to partner with Landcare to provide some assistance there. $13,000 for resilience and wellness programs over the next little while. There's certainly some people that, are finding times tough following the fires, so whether it's now or into the future, 6-12 months' time, have some funding available to do some of that. And then an energy forum workshop at Holbrook, looking at, renewable energy opportunities for farmers, being solar and solar pumps, batteries, microgrids, etc. So that was the plan at this stage for the $100,000. Where there could be more funding programs coming, they did indicate there would be a phase 2 at some point. Whether that will eventuate, I'm not too sure now with the coronavirus and additional costs and stimulus that both the feds and state governments are putting out, but there certainly was an indication that there would be further funding around, providing that community resilience. So it's probably good.
Yep, that's good. Let's round that out. Councillor Parker?
Can I move it?
You can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Knight? Any speakers? Do you wish to speak, Councillor Parker?
Just before Councillor Parker speaks, I don't know whether you want to do it as a separate motion or as part of the same motion, but there was a number 2 there that we nominate 3 councillors to assist in the rollout of this program. So I don't know whether you wanted to incorporate that in your motion, Councillor Parker, or...
Happy to do so.
Did we want to nominate 3
Do you
councillors?
wish to nominate, or do you wish to, anyone wish to volunteer for that?
I'd be happy to go on
You'd
and
be part of it?
working group.
Yeah. Councillor Knight? Anyone else? I'll join you. That's the 3. All right, we've got a mover. So a seconder, we've got a seconder, Councillor Knight. All in favour? Thank you, carried. Anzac Day ceremonies. Well, I think this has probably been a bit superfluous now. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. Do we know?
Well, I think most of the... Mrs. Killoy might have a... you've got a response, I think, have you, from most of them?
I have. I had thought I had sent an email, but I'm happy to speak briefly. Majority of services are now not occurring following the directive from RSL, the national body. However, I'm still waiting on a response from the Holbrook group for the Holbrook Anzac Day services. They were waiting and they're having a meeting. And at this stage, I've been advised that Mullinjandra is proceeding with their event.
What I thought might have been an idea was just to nominate a councillor for each of the services, because the actual, decree from the RSL is for no services that involve members of the public. And I guess when some of these different RSL sub-branches have got time to think about it, perhaps they might have a closed ceremony and may still wish a councillor to come and present a wreath. So I thought, just in case, it might be prudent just to nominate a councillor just in case something like that eventuated and we don't get caught short at the 11th hour.
The dawn service at Ginger has been cancelled. We haven't had any further word on the normal commemoration at 10:30.
I'll take it.
Yes, quickly, we'll just run through them. Colcan, Councillor Weston, Henty, Councillor Meyer, Brock,
Councillor
Quinn has indicated.
previously said he was happy to do that.
Brock,
Brock,
okay. Councillor Parker, you're interested in?
I'm happy to do either or Holbrook or Mullinjan or whatever you're...
All right. One or the other. Barham,
I'm happy to go to Burren.
Councillor Shield, Gendrick, if necessary, Councillor Knight, Walla Walla.
Sorry, a bit quick.
Councillor O'Neill.
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Parker's doing that.
Right, Councillor O'Neill, and Mully, it'll be Councillor Parker or myself. Yeah.
and Walla Walla.
And Walla Walla, yes.
Councillor Hicks.
Councillor Hicks. All right.
Just in case.
All those will be included in the motion.
Shield.
He's doing gender.
Yes. Thank you.
O'Neill.
Thank you.
Oh, that's fine.
All right. Any opposition? No. Carried. Thank you. The Red Bow project. I thought it was fantastic.
I'll move that recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Shield.
I'll second it.
Councillor Parker. Do you wish to speak, either of you?
I would like to say a couple of words. It did create conversation. It did bring some groups of people together that would not have perhaps otherwise gathered together to have the sewing bees or the working bees. It was a place to start. I was pleased that plastic was recycled. I think it's been a baseline for going forward. Some of the posts didn't complement the bows very well. We've learnt that now. So I think it can only get bigger and better from here on to bring the Shire together at Christmas, especially. And you know, there's men's sheds and other people, other groups out there willing to get in and do something. So I think it'll just be onwards and upwards from here. And unfortunately, I had one of the worst days in the summer to pop them up in the first place with the wind and dust and everything else. So it has been definitely a starting point and a conversation piece.
Thank you.
Can I
Councillor
make
O'Neill?
a comment? So this is going to include the villages also for this year? Because I think that was a comment from the people of the villages that they felt left out.
Yeah. Look, that's the intent. I guess what we're saying at the moment is we'll include this in the draft budget for consideration. So this doesn't mean exactly, definitely it's going ahead. I guess we'll have to see, how the budget falls out. But look, the intent is to try and include the villages. We did it on a bit of a shoestring budget this year with some funding we got from different sources. So, but that's the intent.
Councillor Knight.
A question, and I know the decision hasn't been made and can't be truly made till the budget. In the conclusion, it does talk about modifications being required to the material to be used in Sladen Street, Henty. There are also quite a few comments about whether it might need a backing, whether it might need wire through it from some of the other communities. And I think we need to take that into account when we do make the decision and it goes to budget.
All right, that decision can be made at the time if it gets the nod. All right, have we voted? All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Marketing and Promotions Working Group, terms of reference. There's a recommendation there. Councillor O'Neill and Councillor Parker. Any comments? Councillor Meyer?
Why do we have to have the Book of Revelations for 4 people to have a discussion about tourism?
Cheeky.
Well, it's not a book of regulations, it's a terms of reference, and the terms of reference is to ensure that both staff and councillors actually know the parameters of what they're looking at.
It's like driving on the road rules.
Yeah, so look, otherwise, you know, it'll end up goodness knows where.
It still comes back to council making a decision.
Sorry?
It still comes back to council making a final decision.
Correct. Well, it will, if you've got a terms of reference, and I suppose that's what it does. It clarifies that the reports have got to come back to council for adoption. So, you know, it puts the processes in place, Councillor Meyer.
Any other comments or questions? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Corporate and community short-term licence for the Crown Reserve, 41865.
Can I just make
There
a comment,
is a
Madam Mayor?
recommendation. Mr Smith wishes to make a comment.
I'm just going to make a very quick comment. And the last time a report like this came up, there was some confusion around why do we call it a licence and not a lease. And look, I just want to reiterate that because it's on Crown land, if a lease is issued to someone to lease a parcel of land, you're basically giving them almost unfettered use of the land. Now, because it's Crown land, we issue a licence that only says that they can use the land for certain activities. So we're issuing a licence for grazing in this case, or it might be a licence for something else. So I just wanted the councillors to understand the distinction there, that we don't issue leases for Crown land because we don't want people to be able to using the land for all sorts of purposes that they may choose themselves under the terms of a lease, which, as I said, gives them almost unfettered use of the land. So that's the distinction. So it's not a typo. It's not a. We're calling it a licence when really it's a lease. They're two very distinct things.
Thank you. Any comments or questions, councillors, about that? Do we have a moved and seconded? No. Councillor Hicks and Councillor Weston, moved and seconded. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Hicks? No. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Engineering, Gingellic Road upgrade report.
Move the acceptance of the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Meyer and Councillor Parker. Do you wish to speak, Councillor Meyer?
For a long time we've been pursuing this as an objective. I've spoken about it publicly in both Parliament in Canberra and in Sydney on separate occasions. I think we need to really pursue it. It's the one thing that's lacking in this part of the Shire is a beautiful road to drive from Holbrook through to Gingellic on. And that in turn means going on to Murray 2, not Murray 2, what are we calling the new?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a car going past.
Snowy 2.0.
Murray 2, is it? Right. You get the drift anyhow.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Any speakers for or against?
Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Local road resheeting program changes. Thank you, Councillor Hicks. Seconded, Councillor Parker. You wish to speak? Any questions, councillors? No questions? Prepared to vote. Those in favour? Thank you. Items 1, 2 and 3 to be referred to closed council. Councillor Parker and Councillor Hicks. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Part C. Wild land valuation, sorry. Yeah.
Only one in Part B.
Part B, isn't it?
Land valuations. Yes. It's a receive and note. Yeah, Councillor Knight. Seconder, Councillor Hicks. Thank you. Yes.
Knight and Hicks. Yeah.
All right. Beg your pardon? All in favour? Thank you. That's very nice of you to assist. Declare that carried. Are there any other things in this report that anyone wishes to raise? Nil? Okay. Where are we? So many pages, honestly. So we've had C and D. We're going to B, C and D, yes. And I'm going to ask to close the meeting.
Yeah.